Welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. Hope you're all doing okay. Now, we are going to be diving into this brand new shiny update that CCP just released, and oh my god, this has got me in two minds. Now, first of all, we're going to watch this absolutely stunning, amazing trailer that they have released this sort of information, and then we're going to be doing a little breakdown of it.
The greatest commanders can secure victory before any shots are fired. They spread their forces wisely, under the cover of stealth. And strike with intent, with agility, with majesty. They'll turn the tide of battle, wielding a single advantage. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt.
So, yeah, the update looks very shiny, it looks very polished, don't get me wrong, it looks a very nice cinematic. Now, anyone that's played EVE for a couple of years, or even if you've started playing EVE, you know full well, the game does not look like that. But, let's take this back a little bit. So, let's take this back a bit. Now, don't get me wrong, the Megathron is an amazing ship. Let's just mute that. It is an amazing ship. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong, a Boltec fleet, which is the Megathrons, is absolutely stunning to see when it all lands in, but their claim of tactical supremacy is, by some formations, is utter garbage. Absolutely utter garbage, right? So as we're looking here, yes, we're seeing some heavy assault cruisers because everyone knows EVE Online is hacks online. It's all heavy assault cruisers in big fights. That's all that happens. It's heavy assault cruisers. You occasionally get Megathrons, hence why they added the Megathrons in there, because it's heavy assault cruisers and Megathrons. Yes, now as we can see here on the screen, I'm going to pause that for you right there. Now, as you can see, everyone is going into a lovely formation, which brings me to my first point. These formations are not going to work, purely because if you have a full fleet of, say, 254 people, if you spread out like that, people are going to be 70, 80 kilometers apart. They're going to be out of logi range. And what's the first thing you do when you land? Anchor up on the FC or follow the FC. The FC will then fly you around the engagement, getting you in and out of ranges, getting you to the optimal position and picking the angle he wants to come at the engagement from. So these formations are only going to hinder that process, which again is just ridiculous. So this is more of a point of what. First of all, I'm going to go into why this update is pretty much useless that we've got at the minute. But as I said, we always anchor up on the FC engagements because you're in logi range, you're in boost range, and you then follow the FC around and he takes you where you need to be optimal performance in your fleet. And also, when you land in these fleets, so we've got this lovely arrowhead formation that's going on. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks pretty, but it's not a viable tactic. Now, again, landing in Munins here, Munins and Logi, and no one is going to use that. Don't get me wrong, it looks nice and shiny for cinematic purposes or for whatever sort of trailers like this, but they are not practical at all. I mean, you're going to be like 30, 40, 50 kilometers apart when you anchor up because you're miles away from the FC. The FC's one, going to get annoyed, and two, you're going to end up taking casualties because you're either too far away from the Logi or you're out of boost range. So again, that is why it is going to be absolutely useless. And no one uses these. Well, no one will use these because bookmarks are a thing. The only times that these formations may potentially get used is, one, to avoid a disco fleet, where, in other words, there's, I don't know, say 10, 15 smart bombing battleships or whatever on a gate that you're about to land into and potentially delete your fleet. So this is going to be a counter to that, maybe. I mean, I'm clutching at straws with this one, all right? I am completely clutching at straws with this. And yeah, the second option, the second time that this is going to be maybe useful is ships that aren't going to need Logi. So if you're warping in a bunch of dreadnoughts, I don't know, I mean, again, I'm really clutching at straws here. So you warp in a load of dreadnoughts that go in a big wall formation. You all siege, you all kind of in some form of range, but again, the people on the edges and the middle are going to be going to have to use different ammo types for the different ranges because they're so spread out. Now, this to me very much looks like CCP are trying to polish a turd. Now, if you haven't heard that phrase, you can polish a turd, but at the end of the day, it is still a turd. Okay? Now, you may even roll it in glitter, but it is still a turd, right? This is not practical. These formations, they've been going on about since I started playing the game. They've been going on about these things for 10 plus years, and they've never come into the game. So I don't know why they've decided all of a sudden, right, okay, we're completely starving people out of the game at the minute. We've made the mega rich even more powerful, as they can completely manipulate a market. But no, we'll add in formations. So personally, and from a lot of people I've seen on forums and whatnot, this is not received very well. This is just a distraction from the poverty that the developers are putting the people in the game through. It's just a tiny little distraction to make you forget about the amount of gameplay styles that people have lost due to the scarcity, and the fact that people can no longer play the game that they like to. Spend a few days grinding a bit of cash, go out and lose a load of expensive shit. But now people are just being very risk averse because they don't want to grind for 2 weeks to get that expensive ship that they could have just whelped and got another one with quickly. But they have done an absolutely shocking job of reassuring a player base that something like this is needed. I mean, right, okay. I'm going to put something on the screen now. Now, this is CCP's master plan. They are drawing the ISK out of everyone, and these scarcity things are only really affecting the medium to low wealth players. It's not affecting the high players that have got hundreds of billions or hundreds of trillions, well, not hundreds of trillions, but trillions of ISK. It doesn't affect them in the slightest because they've got that much ISK. They are not going to need to grind for ISK ever again. They can buy up an entire stock of something at a market hub, sell it for a profit, boom, they've got more money. This scarcity is only affecting the medium to low wealth players. Now, as I said, on the screen is CCP's master plan. So they're starving all these low wealth players, and they're saying, oh, you can buy Plex. You can buy Plex and become wealthy in EVE Online. Yes, buy Plex and spend your real world money on Plex to sell, because you can't make that sort of money in game anymore because they've removed it, and they're promising this carrot at the end, and no one has heard of any sort of hint or anything towards this. And personally, they've got more important things to be focusing on in the game, like server stability, so things like M2 and other situations don't happen again. Because problem is, M2 can quite easily be repeated. All you have to do is cram 2 big blocks into one system and it's going to happen again. They need to do something about that. Also, the chat channels. Let's not go into the chat channels. How many times you've been disconnected from chat channels? Then it says reconnecting. What? Like, locals completely gone. It says you're in God knows where and you're not. And the chat channels are knackered. Okay. So what they need to do is they need to start bringing back these playstyles that people enjoyed, people spent hours doing, and some people just like mining and making a good income from it. But in the minute, you can't. Some people go to nullsec to mine because there's good ores. You used to be able to get pretty much everything for industry. You can't. So they've gone. They've just like sold up and disappeared. And a lot of people, the only thing that's keeping this game going at the minute is this big war. I'm not saying that just from any either side point of view. The only thing that's keeping this game afloat at the minute is this war. If this war was not a thing, there would be nothing to advertise. There would be no world records broken. The scarcity would be it would just be an utter garbage fest, which this update is. This is not needed. No one asked for this. Some people may want this because it looks cool. But apart from maybe incursions, I'm going to look pretty in an hourhead formation going into my incursion contest. Oh yeah, I'm going to look real pretty in my fleet. Get a grip. This is an absolute shit show of an update. Oh, and last thing as well, just on the formations, bookmarks are a thing. You position through bookmarks, or warp-ins from fleet members. You do not warp into a big engagement like this. Good God, CCP. Learn your player base. Learn what the people that are paying you for this game actually enjoy, not what you think people enjoy.